Well, welcome everyone. My name is Jon Brenneman. I'm the president here at MOAA Vacations, and we're joined today by Joanne Taylor. She's with Rocky Mountaineer. They got the Canadian Rockies there behind her, giving us a little glimpse of what we'll be seeing next year. Wanted to thank everybody for joining us as we take you through a journey through the Canadian Rockies. About 10-15 minutes ago, everyone should have received an email reminder for this event, for this presentation. And in that, there is a link. We do have a web page set up that has all the information on today's show. So you can access that at any time you want some additional information on it. I also, or Joanne actually also included a link to that in the chat. You can actually get to chat if you take your mouse and you hover at the bottom of this screen. You'll see a little navigation bar come down at the bottom, and you'll see where chat is. If you have any questions while Joanne and I are presenting, just go ahead and drop those in chat at any time, and then we will be sure that we answer all of those questions. We did talk briefly, if you heard us chatting about recording this, we are recording this webinar. Hopefully this evening, if not this evening, tomorrow, you will get an email which will include a link to this presentation so you can watch it again. So if you just make note of the time, since we started right at noon, if you make a note of the time that, you look at your watch and say it's 15 after, I want to see that again. Then when you get the video, you can just fast forward to 15 minutes into the presentation, and then you'll be at that section. This is open to you, your friends, your family, your coworkers. So when you get that video, if you think it would be great that they would join you, if you have people you want to join you, feel free to share that video with them. We welcome everybody to watch it. We'll actually post it on YouTube, so it will be available to everyone. I know a lot of people here are familiar with MOA Vacations. MOA, of course, is the Military Officers Association of America. We, Brenco, are the official travel agency for MOA. And I just wanted to real quick, for those people, I know we have some people on that have not ever attended a webinar before. I thought I'd just take just a second and kind of tell you a little bit about what makes us unique. The reason why MOA Vacations selected Brenco to be their travel agency. Out of the 30,000 plus travel agencies in America, they chose us. And the first thing, which is the main reason, is the superior service that we provide. We actually provide a concierge level of service that is second to none in the travel industry. We've been awarded for it numerous times. We do travel on a satisfaction guarantee basis, and that very simply means that if you book a trip through us, we guarantee that you'll be satisfied. So if you have any problems before or during or even after your trip, you contact us. Actually, what we do with any problems that you have, most of those come across my desk, and I actually personally get involved in getting those quick. The industry average, if some of you may have had problems before, is like 4 to 6 weeks. For any issues that you might have. Because of my relationships with companies like Rocky Mountaineer and the cruise lines and everything, we get those done in days, not weeks or months. Lowest price guarantee. In my mind, we used to have that. We used to have 3 little boxes here because I've always said that if we guarantee your satisfaction, no one will ever be satisfied if they pay too much. But enough people ask about that, we separated it out. So you are guaranteed to get the absolute lowest rate. Free amenities. This is a program we have set up with a number of vendors. And so in addition to the lowest price on cruises, in most cases, these are onboard credit. Sometimes they're spa credits or dining that are included and stuff like that. And then on the tour side, it's additional dollars off when you purchase, and that's over, I think, 28 different cruise lines and tour companies that it applies to all sailings, all departures, kind of thing. And then the last thing that we offer is group opportunities, and we do a ton of groups every year, and that's actually what we're talking about today, is our annual group with Rocky Mountaineer. If some of you were on earlier, we were talking about the fact that last year, Rocky Mountaineer actually brought some of their train cars down to the United States since travel to Canada was restricted at that time. So last year's group was actually Denver, Las Vegas. We had our own train car, we had our own buses. Everyone had an absolute phenomenal time. This year, we're doing Canadian Rockies. I think it leaves in 2 weeks, isn't that right? Something like that. It's start of August. And so it's always a very popular itinerary. So we're doing another one this year to the Canadian Rockies, and I think it's a great lead in as we're talking about groups for me to turn it over to Joanne. And Joanne is going to talk about, get the screen, our 2023 Canadian Rockies group, which you can see the dates there. I assume most people know it. It was in the email, as I mentioned. We sent you the website and everything like that. So without any further ado, we're all here to hear Joanne take us through day by day what you're going to see on this Rocky Mountaineer Canadian Rockies by train tour next year. So Joanne.
Thank you, and thank you for having me. We really appreciate having MOAA members join us again. I know the last group had a really great time. So what I want to do today is go a little bit over, what the Rocky Mountain experience is all about. What is it? The type of train we'll be traveling in. We'll go through the itinerary for the group for next year, and we're going to leave some time for Q&A as well. So don't worry about that. We can take a lot of questions at the end. So Rocky Mountaineer is first and foremost a train company, and it's been operating for 32 years in the Canadian Rockies doing these routes. The trains themselves now are all dome fleets, so all of our guests travel in one of two types of train cars. On the left, you see a photo of Gold Leaf, and on the right, Silver Leaf. And then, we're really known for a wonderful onboard service. We have hosts on board that are there to take care of you. They entertain you. They give you information about what you're seeing. They keep you safe. On board the train, everything is included. So all your meals, all your beverages, including open bars. So you don't have to worry about opening up your wallet while you're on board the train. And then at night, we step off the trains. And so what happens is you don't want to travel during the day, during the nighttime hours, so you would miss everything. So we step off the trains at night and we stay in hotels. And then the next day, we bring you back on board the train to continue your journey. Jon, would you mind muting your, we're getting some feedback from somewhere. You can try muting. That did it. Okay, thank you. That's better. So this happens to be a hotel in Banff, and is one that you will be staying at if you travel on the group. But people just really love this product. You really get to sit back and you relax. You get to know everybody on board because you have an assigned seat in an assigned rail car, and nobody sits in their seat all day. So it becomes a very social place. You'll be traveling in Gold Leaf, which is what this car is. And you'll be going downstairs for your meals. You'll be going outside to a viewing platform. And, if you see a bear on the right side of the train, you can be assured that everybody's going to be over on the right side of the train. So, you'll be going back and forth all day long. And people say they make friendships for a lifetime, not only with their fellow passengers, but also with our hosts on board. The other thing is we carry you through regions that are so unique and so beautifully protected, like these UNESCO protected parks in the Canadian Rockies. And sometimes we don't have the opportunity to get out into the wilderness and listen to the silence. And that's something I've really noticed in recent years when I do get up on our trips, is I can step outside and listen to silence. And we hear very little of that in our communities these days. Welcome aboard. This is a little video about First Passage to the West. And this is the route that we're going to be traveling on in the opposite direction. But this will give you a good idea.
As Vancouver slowly evaporates in the distance, the majestic coast mountains rise up to greet you. And you find yourself on a historic journey that retraces the route of the great 19th century explorers. Let your imagination travel along with the first pioneers, across rushing rivers, through magnificent canyons, alongside sheer rock faces, but with the unparalleled luxury and service the early explorers could never dream of. Marvel in awe as you cut through ancient gray-green volcanic rocks that are 200 million years old. Well, give or take a million. Now you find yourself back in 1885 at Craigellachie, the famous site of the last spike, where Canada's east and west were finally united by 3,200 kilometers of track. With vivid historic imagery still in your mind, the awe-inspiring natural beauty continues to unfold before your eyes. Like those who came before you, your journey follows the Kicking Horse River deep into the breathtaking Canadian Rockies. Here's your chance to bring out your inner landscape photographer. Next up, the legendary spiral tunnels, which opened in 1909. Twist your way through the engineering marvel that proved to be the most difficult terrain to break on Canada's railroad. By now, you're as steeped in history as the vertical drops of the magnificent mountains you pass by. Postcard images continue to appear around every bend until eventually, world-famous Banff comes into view, and you're left wondering how it's possible to travel both forwards and backwards in time. The first passage to the west. Now, who says you can't travel through time?
Okay, hopefully that played all right for you. If your connection isn't strong enough, once you get it, the copy of this, it should play just fine for you. You can also look at all of our videos on YouTube as well. So if you want to see more about the trains and traveling on the trains, you can check out the Rocky Mountaineer YouTube channel. And I think Jon has some posted as well. So this is the car that you will be traveling in. This is our Gold Leaf, which is a bi-level coach. And you can see up top is where everyone sits. Down below, right here, you have, if you can see my cursor, this is where we have a large kitchen. Then that's followed by a dining room. And then towards the back of the coach, we have two restrooms on one side, a spiral staircase and a lift on the other side. And then out back, we have a covered outdoor viewing platform. So this is a state-of-the-art art coach, and here's a actual photograph of it in front of Castle Mountain, and you can get a good idea of what it actually looks like with some people standing out on the viewing platform in the back. When you see other cars on our consist that don't have domed cars, those are staff cars and cars where we have refrigeration units for the food and that sort of thing. So every guest does travel in a domed rail car. This is the inside of Gold Leaf looking forward. You can see you have large reclining seats. You do have a little tray table you can bring up in your arm. They are heated. They have leg rests. They recline, but they don't recline into the person behind you. It reclines into itself, which is really nice. And all the way forward, you see here is the bar setup that our hosts have, as well as where they keep their PA systems and so forth. And they have their own private little hidden staircase that goes directly down into the kitchen. And what's nice about that is they can go down there and bring up hot scones in the morning or hot cookies in the afternoon. So they have direct access to the kitchen. What you're not seeing here is more towards the back of the coach is the lift, as well as the spiral staircase. The spiral staircase is not really a spiral, it's a curved staircase. It only allows one person up and down at the same time because it's designed in width so that you put your hands on both sides of the rail, which makes it very safe on a moving train. Downstairs, this is what the dining room looks like. So we have booth sitting. We have booths for 2 and booths for 4. So we like it when people kind of mix it up and get to know each other and have a meal together. Here you have a selection of food items for any meal that you have here, 3 or 4 or 5 entree selections depending on the meal. Each one is at least 3 courses, and once you place your order, then it's cooked to order in the kitchen down there. So it makes for a nice leisurely, wonderful food that is sourced from the area. So I know you've seen pictures of you see some there of the salmon, which is fresh caught from the area. The beef and the pork is also from Alberta, where they have great ranch lands, and the fruits and vegetables come primarily from the Okanagan Valley and the Fraser Valley, which you will actually pass through. So wonderful meals. Let us know if you have any requirements as far as allergies or anything like that, and we'll make sure that we take good care of you. So anyway, this is a little picture of the viewing platform. It is covered in case it is raining, or depending on the time of the year, it could be snowing. But a lot of people like to come out here and get some fresh air and be outside when there are really important things that they want to photograph. I know that all the employees are mic'd on board the train. So if the engineer sees bear, everyone in the entire consist will know about it. And so your host on board will let you know there's bear coming up on the right, or they'll know that Hell's Gate is coming up on the left, and make sure that you are pointed in the right direction at the right time. So on this particular group tour, we're going to start out in Calgary. So you'll all fly into Calgary. Nothing planned the first night because everybody will be coming in at different times, but you will be staying at the beautiful Fairmont Palliser in Calgary. So this is a historic hotel, one of 2 Fairmonts that you will be staying in, and these hotels were built by the railroads at the turn of the century, or a little after that, in the 1920s, that time period. And they built them to try and bring the people out from the east to the west. So these hotels are very historic, but because they have been managed by Fairmont for a long time, they are very well appointed. So keep in mind with historic hotels, it might be a small room and a smaller bathroom, but they are beautifully appointed, and you will love just walking around in this hotel and feeling the history. The next day is a very busy day. We'll get up and have breakfast in the hotel, and then we'll head out to Heritage Park. And Heritage Park is Western Canada's living museum. And you have the opportunity to learn about the development of the areas, as well as the First Nations people of the area. After that, we will do our 2-hour drive up the Trans-Canada Highway into Banff, and we'll have time in Banff. We'll have a lunch at Heritage Park, and then we'll drive for 2 hours into Banff, tour around the town of Banff so you get a lay of the land and where everything is. And then we'll head up to this gondola ride. And on this photo, if you look right down here, this is the hotel that you will be staying in. So by the time you get to the gondola ride, you're only going to be a couple of blocks from your hotel. And this hotel is beautifully situated with a view, as you can tell. So here's just a little photo I put in of the Heritage Park in the Calgary area. And then here's what downtown Banff looks like. So downtown Banff actually sits in the middle of the park, of the Banff National Park, which is all protected like all the parks up there by UNESCO. So you can't build any more homes in Banff. You can't build any more hotels in Banff. It's just a beautiful little mountain town that's a lot of fun. Again, here's another picture from the gondola. As you go up the gondola, you're looking down on one side in this direction where you see the town of Banff and the Bow River Valley. You can see the river running through it. But once you get to the top and you look out the other ways, you see the tops of mountains for as far as the eye can see. It's just amazing. And there are a few little short hiking trails up there, and there's a natural history museum. And then this is where you're going to be able to spend a beautiful 3 days at the Rimrock Hotel in Banff. So it sits up above the city. The rooms are large, the bathrooms are large, beautiful amenities. Here's some inside shots. Oh, I'm so sorry. My clumsy husband. So you can see how beautiful it is and how the public areas have these beautiful views, and the rooms are quite spacious. So there's also a full spa here, a number of restaurants. I know you'll enjoy it. It's the most recent hotel built in Banff, and they can only build buildings 3 stories tall, so they got around it by building down the side of the mountain. So, but this hotel only has about 300 rooms, so it's a great size hotel. Small enough that they can get to know you, but big enough that you have lots of amenities. So the next day, we're just going to tour around for a part of the day. So we'll have the group breakfast again. We're going to tour Banff and Yoho National Parks. We're going to stop at lunchtime at the Fairmont Chateau Lake Louise. So it's a great property to see. It's a bit crowded in the summertime, so we opted not to include it in this particular package. Another reason is because it's gotten so expensive. It starts at like $1,000 a night. So I think you'll enjoy the Rimrock just so much, but you'll be able to see and spend some time at the Fairmont Chateau Lake Louise. So just, a few shots in some of the park areas. You hear about Lake Louise all the time, but this whole area is full of emerald and turquoise colored waters. This happens to be Emerald Lake, a beautiful spot. And of course, here is the famous Chateau Lake Louise. Again, a historic hotel. We'll be going there for lunch, but we'll be able to spend some time, outside if you would like to, in the lake area, take a canoe ride. You can do a little hike around the lake. So it's a beautiful spot to have lunch. And then, after that, we'll head on back to Banff where you'll have some free time. I wanted to let you know that because the hotel is about a mile outside of town, that they give you free access to Rome. So about every 20 minutes, these Rome buses will swing by the hotel. You hop on, show them your key card. Normally it's $1 a ride, but you get it for free if you stay at the Rimrock, and it stops on every street corner downtown. It will also stop at the Banff Springs Hotel, which is the other Fairmont property in the Parks Regions. And this hotel is worth seeing. If you want to go out there, go out to the Rundle Bar and have a drink overlooking the golf course and the Bow River. It's quite lovely. This is a large hotel. You'll be in there the summertime, so it'll be very busy with a lot of conventions. I think it holds about 1,700 guests, so it's a busy hotel. But if you would like to check out it from a historic standpoint, by all means, go out there and tour it and have a cocktail or a hamburger there. So then the next day, we have another day of touring. We're going to have breakfast again at the Rimrock. So you have a lot of meals included in this tour. We'll have almost a full day of touring up the Icefields Parkway. Now, when we go up the Icefields Parkway, we will have lunch up there, which is planned. We'll get to go out and walk on the Athabasca Glacier, and we'll stop en route at the Glacier Skywalk. But this is one of the most beautiful parkways in the entire world. You will feel oftentimes like you're in Switzerland if you've ever been there. Again, all this area that you're traveling through is UNESCO protected. You'll be able to see the parks they built over the highway, which are built just for the wildlife. So to keep them off of the roads, but to help with their migrations, they build parks over this particular highway for the big hoofed animals and tunnels underneath for the cats and some of the bears that like to be kind of hidden. So you'll learn all about it. It's just a fascinating area. So you'll go back to the Rimrock for another night. And then the next day, you're going to board the train and go what we call the First Passage to the West route. So what will happen is we'll get on the train in the morning in Banff. It will make a quick stop at Lake Louise to pick up some passengers there. And then we'll spend the day going to Kamloops. In Kamloops, we'll spend the night. And then the next day, we'll be going into Vancouver. So you will have 2 full days on the train. So let me show you this. So we get started early in the morning, and you have breakfast on the train. So as soon as you get on board, they'll be serving you coffees and juices and that sort of thing. And we'll go downstairs for breakfast. And as you travel through the national parks, this area is so beautiful this entire day. You will experience a lot of great sights. And I notice that people keep a cup of coffee with them in one hand and their camera in the other hand against the window all day. And that kind of switches around lunchtime from a cup of coffee to a glass of wine and the camera. So anyway, just count on it being very relaxing. And you'll be learning about the history of the area and the geography, the First Nations information and all of that. Early in the day, we will ascend through the spiral tunnels. This piece of track, Rocky Mountaineer is the only train company that can use this piece of track. So as we are going, leaving the Rocky Mountains and going through the Continental Divide and some of the highest mountains, you'll learn a little bit of history about the spiral tunnels. It amazes me always every time I think about it, because the Swiss engineered this with the Canadians. Between 1900 and 1905, they built it. And what happens, what you'll do is you'll be ascending through the spiral tunnel. So you'll go into near a top of a mountain, you'll curl inside that mountain and come out at the base, hit the top of another mountain, curl inside of it. So you'll spiral inside and come out at the base. And this is, they engineered it perfectly. In 1905, when they opened it, even though they drilled from opposite ends, they met perfectly in the middle. And how they did that without computers, I don't know, but that's Swiss engineering for you, right? So anyway, it's fun. You'll go through historic Craigellachie, and that's where the last spikes were put into the transcontinental rail lines back in the early part of the century. And the lake region is amazing. So this is actually Castle Rock as you're coming out of Banff and Lake Louise. This is that lake region. We follow these lakes along a big part of the day, and you'll see, we'll be hugging the sides of the lakes, So you'll see a lot of osprey, you'll see a lot of eagle, a lot of nests, and just a lot of activity on these beautiful large lakes. This is a little shot of Craigellachie. And then leaving the mountains, we'll head out and we'll start flattening out. As we come into Kamloops, you're sort of in a high desert area. So think of the area you're traveling through in Western Canada, like the Western US, only everything's closer together. So you've got your Rocky Mountains and you've got your high desert areas, which we will hit. And then we go through the Cascade Mountains, the valleys, and then the coastal mountains. So, but they're all much closer together. So you see a lot of interesting and varied terrain. Kamloops, I wanted to mention that while we're staying in luxury hotels throughout the trip, we will not be in Kamloops because they don't have any. But we're there for a short time. We'll get in the early evening in time for you to go have lunch. I mean, it's not lunch. You'll have lunch on the train. You'll have dinner on your own here, but it's a cute little town. Your hotel will be downtown. It's historical. It's an old train town. You'll hear about train robbers, and if you want to wander into some of the museums, you can. But I highly recommend going into one of the pubs for dinner. So anyway, it's just a fun town and everybody's just lovely there. Then the next day we have a second day on board the train. You'll go through that sort of desert, Hoodoos, Red Rocks area. And then you'll start following these river canyons, heading back into the forests of the Cascade Mountains. You'll follow the Fraser River through, and you'll see sites like Hell's Gate. There's a lot of interesting stories in this area about the first pioneers and how they navigated through these mountains. And Hell's Gate is particularly colorful. Then you'll head out of the Cascade Mountains through the valleys of Fraser and the Okanagan Valley, where you'll see that they are growing all the fruits and vegetables and they have the wineries. And then you'll head back into the Coast Mountains and into Vancouver. So here's just a few of the sites that you'll see. This is the river close to Kamloops, where you can see it's a little more barren, and then you head back into the Cascade Mountains. This bottom left-hand side is the Fraser River at Hell's Gate. So there's more water rushing through this small canyon than there is going over the Niagara Falls, but I'll leave that as a story for the hosts on board. Now remember, the train doesn't stop, so when we get to places we know you're going to want to take photographs of, we will slow down to what we call Kodak speed, which the young people don't know what I'm talking about when I say Kodak speed. But generally the train goes along about 35 miles an hour. So it's a very comfortable ride. Okay, heading into Vancouver, beautiful cosmopolitan city. The hotel we're staying at is right in the middle of downtown. And I just realized right before I started this that I put in the wrong picture of the Hotel Vancouver, but sorry, it is a little fuzzy. But again, this is one of those historic hotels that were built by the railroads. It's a great location next to the National Museum and within walking distance of a lot of places. But the next day, we are going to take you on a tour, a part-day tour of Vancouver, and we'll start out. So here's downtown. This is where the cruise ships come in, and then this is Stanley Park, which is quite large and quite interesting to drive through, where we can pick up on the highlights of Stanley Park. And then from Stanley Park, we cross over the Lionsgate Bridge and we'll go into North Vancouver. So that's on the other side of the Sound, and that's where a lot of people live and they commute into the city. But we'll be going to this wonderful park here. This is the Capilano Bridge Park. There's a natural history museum here. If you don't want to trek across this hanging bridge over the canyon, and that's okay if you don't, but for those of you who do, once you get to the other side, you can take this treetops tour, which gives you a completely different view of this rainforest. So you'll be looking down on the birds and the squirrels and all of that. So it's a great outdoor kind of adventure, or you can stay on this side, go through the natural history museum. You can go out on this little walkway that looks over the canyon. And I have to admit, it also houses my very favorite gift store in all of Vancouver. So, there's plenty to do there. So we're also going to go up to Grouse Mountain, which is the ski resort that serves Greater Vancouver area. And we'll do a lift there, which will give you the most magnificent views looking back down on the city of Vancouver. From there, you can see Granville Park. You can see, just the whole area. It's just a magnificent view. And then we'll head back in and you have some time again to enjoy Vancouver. So if you don't mind, before we wrap up, I'll show you just a quick little video. There's no speaking in this one, it's just music, but I just wanted to leave you with some of the sights that you'll see on this particular trip. So we're very pleased that Rocky Mountaineer consistently wins awards, service awards, and best train experience awards. So, I just want you to rest assured that you're traveling with a really good company. I wanted to put in the prices for this particular trip. So the double occupancy price is $5,099 per person, which is a great value. Keep in mind that unlike our individual trips, our group trips do include most of the meals. So you don't have to worry about, spending a lot of money once you go. We do have a single occupancy price as well. So you'll notice it's not like a lot of cruise lines where it's doubled, because we don't charge you extra for the train trip. You just have to, pay extra for the hotel room. So it's not like you're paying extra, it's just one person paying for it instead of two. The deposit is, when if you decide you want to go, it's $1,000 per person, and the balance and final due is March 21st, so not till next year of 2023. So I just wanted to put in a couple of tips as well. Please buy travel insurance. It's just so important. I've been in the travel business for 40 years, and I know you guys have probably traveled a lot, but maybe not commercially your entire life. But it not only protects your investment, but I have seen too many people have accidents and get ill in other countries, and it's just what a relief to turn it over to one of these travel insurance companies, and they just take care of you. They get you home, they pay your bills. It's just wonderful. And I also wanted to remind you that you do need a valid passport to travel to Canada. So make sure you have at least 6 months left on your passport before you head to Canada or any other foreign country. Okay, John, I'm going to turn it back over to you.
Excellent. You can hear me, correct? Trent, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Oh, you're muted now. Okay. I didn't catch at first that you were muted. Just a couple of things I wanted to touch on while Joanne was going through it. Once again, the video at the end, I know sometimes we hear from people that the sound or even the video might glitch a little bit. Keep in mind, we're going to send everybody a copy of this video this evening once we get it uploaded to YouTube, or tomorrow morning, depending on how the day goes. We may or may not get it uploaded tonight. Sometimes it takes longer than others. Once again, feel free to share it with anybody you have that you think would enjoy going with you. We have a set number of seats on the train car, but we can always add more up until the full capacity of the car. The other thing I was going to say, Joanne's muted, but I was going to ask her, instead of Kodak speed, is it selfie speed? Is that would be? I mean, I'm not young enough to know exactly what that would be.
I think
my only thought when you said Kodak speed, I was thinking it has to be selfie speed. Anyway, we're to the end now. We're going to do the Q&A. So Joanne, just a second, I'm going to ask you to see if we have any questions in the chat.
We do.
I did want to talk real quick. Whenever we do these, and we do 1 or 2 of these a month now at MOA Vacations, and if you're interested in any of the past ones, we have a MOA channel, or excuse me, a YouTube channel as well. Is a lot of people will ask about COVID, and here's where we are with COVID right now. It's an ever-changing kind of environment. I think everyone has seen things open up more and more over the last few months as we move beyond the shutdown, for lack of a better term. I can tell you that currently, right now, Canada requires you to be fully vaccinated to go to Canada. So that's not a Brenco or a MOA restriction or a Rocky Mountaineer restriction. That's actually a country. So we really don't have anything that we can do other than wait for Canada to raise that. Now, the trip we're talking about is a year from now. The anticipation would be that during that time, that requirement will go away, but we don't ever know. To give you an idea, we had a group departure on the Douro River in Portugal that went at the beginning of June. And everyone got on that ship with the understanding that the United States required you to have a negative test before you returned to the States. And while we were on that cruise is when, so what was it, like June 10th or something like that? I'd have to look up the exact date. But while we were on that cruise is when they lifted that requirement. So we actually had people get on a cruise understanding that they were going to be tested on the ship, and they'd have to show their test results when they got to the airport. And then at the end of the cruise, we said that's no longer required. So things are opening up, but when it comes to governments, we have no way of knowing when that will occur. So if you have specific questions about COVID, when you give us a call or you give us send us an email and you talk to one of the agents who are helping us handle this, they can answer specific questions. So I think that answers that. We do sometimes, one of the ones, I guess we should go to the questions. I always just think of the questions we've gotten in the past, Joanne, but somebody asked, a couple people asked in the past about sleeping on the train. And I would just basically say, for anyone who's ever slept on a train before, you're going to be so happy that you get off the train and you go to a hotel. The rooms are incredibly small. The showers on the trains that actually have rooms are like down the end of the hall, so they're shared, and they're I think broom closets are bigger than them. They're ridiculously small. So trust me, you're on, as Joanne said, during the day when there's things to say, you're on the train, you see all the scenery, and that night you're going to be very pleased you can get off and go to a hotel and have a nice size room and everything along those lines. So Joanne, do we have any questions in the chat? I guess we've got 10-15 minutes if anybody had any questions.
Okay, first question is, can I take the Trans Canada to pick up this trip at the departure point? So that would be Via Rail, which is Canada's version of Amtrak. It is possible, it does go into Edmonton, and then you would have to get from Edmonton to Calgary.
Yeah, the only thing I would say about that is last year, and I'm going to talk about Amtrak because they're similar. Last year, when we did the Rocky Mountaineer trip from Denver to Las Vegas, we had somebody who took the Amtrak train from Chicago to Denver. They actually overnighted on the train, and they did not have a pleasant experience because basically what I was just talking about, where the room, not only, you know, the berth, I guess, that they had that they slept in, only that was small. It was the shower at the end of the hall, you know, because each room is not going to have its own shower. So you basically get your stuff, you go down the hall, and you wait to step into the broom closet to shower. So, if you've taken the train before and you know what you're getting into, absolutely. I mean, heck, you could take a Greyhound bus to the start of the trip if you wanted to, but just make sure you know what you're going in. And I don't know where that person is coming from. If it was a shorter train, that might make sense. But just heads up, if you're looking at taking, you know, a multi-day train trip where you're going to overnight on the train. I've done it. I'm sure Joanne's done it. As long as you go in and knowing that it's college dormish. And then the other thing, the service on those trains is not up to what you're going to experience. You know, with not the quality of the food, the service, the open bar, the whole kind of thing. So I hope that answers that question. Joanne, anything you want to add to that?
Well, just that, you know, I get this question asked a lot, and having spent so much time in Canada, my recommendation is that I love it on the East Coast. You're not traveling very far. So I like to do the East Coast and the West Coast of Canada separately. In between the plain states, there's not a lot to see. So, but yeah, you can get a great Via Rail experience on the East Coast. Short distances between all those beautiful cities, but in Western Canada, they travel at night, so you do miss quite a bit of the scenery through the mountains. But okay, the next question.
Yeah, and just let me jump on what you said. I wasn't trying to say that the scenery wouldn't be nice if you took a train. I was just saying, just if you're going a short distance on the train, it would probably be a great experience. But if, you know, we're in Kansas City, and if I was thinking I was going to take the train from Kansas City, you know, up to Canada, and it's an overnight, just, you know, be prepared. So that's what I'm trying to say.
Okay. When we are not on the train or walking, will we travel to sites by our own bus? And yes, you will have your own motor coach traveling on these tours through the national parks as well as in Vancouver.
Yes. The only exception being, you talked about Rome, correct? Where, you know, when they're at the hotel, if they want to go into the city, those buses run every 20 minutes. Those would actually be public buses. But on the actual part of the tour where we're touring, they will be our own buses. If you're at the hotel and you want to go into town after dinner or before dinner or whatever it is, then that will be just the buses that do the circle.
Yeah, and by the way, they're a lot of fun because there are people from all over the world who go to Banff in the summertime, and it's just everybody's in a good mood, and you meet people from different countries. Now here's
the best part of travel. Everybody's always in a good mood when you're traveling.
I know, right?
I know, right? Anyway, what else?
Will MOAA reserve a card for military members? Are you talking about a card to the train car, or I'm not sure.
I think so, because last year we had an exclusive train car. That is our hope, where we have enough space to do our own train car. But, you know, we can't guarantee it because, you know, if 15, 20 people sign up, we probably won't have our own train car. But you can check in with whomever you book with along the way to see how full the car is. So I can say that we did last year, and we every anticipation we will next year. You know, I've heard people say they've heard differentiating things on the news about travel. I can tell you travel is booming. Things are filling up quickly. We've never been busier than we are right now helping put people on travel. So we would have every anticipation. When we set these things up, our anticipation is they will sell out. But we're doing the first webinar today. So we'll know better in a couple of weeks from now. So.
Yeah. And then here's one. Oh, it says the MOAA ad said the cost was $47.99 a person. Has that changed? That sounds like this year's price.
Yeah, that is this year's price.
Yeah. Yeah, so that is for this year, which leaves in a week or two. We did upgrade the experience for next year with better hotels and so forth. So it is a little bit more expensive.
Anything else?
That's in Q&A. Let me see if there's anything in chat. No, I think that's it.
Excellent. Okay.
Look one more time. Oh, wait a minute. Here. How many spaces are available for this tour? Well, up to 60. That's about what a gold leaf coach can accommodate on board. The name of the hotel in Vancouver is the Fairmont Hotel Vancouver. So that's another Fairmont property. The airport transfers, I do not believe are included because I think everyone is traveling separately. We're not traveling all on the same aircraft.
Correct. We didn't do group with the groups that we do with people coming from all over the country. A lot of times, let's say, our offices are in Overland Park, but a suburb of Kansas City. A lot of times people will do group transfers because if everybody in our group was from Kansas City, we'd all fly up together and then we'd have a bus that would take everybody from the airport to the hotel. And what we're doing, where people are coming in from all 4 time zones and arriving at different times, and some people will do a day or two pre or something like that, we can certainly help you get, we can get you transfers to Rocky Mountaineer from the airport to the hotel if you'd like. Cabs, a lot of people are using Uber or Lyft now. But what we found years ago when we started, doing these MOA groups from people all across the country, most people are more comfortable of doing it on their own. I think 2 year ago, no, it would have been longer than that, would have pre-COVID. We did one once where we had 2 group transfers and we had them at separate times. So you could either do the group transfer at like noon or you could do the group transfer at 2, and that did not work because people did not want to, if you can get an Uber for $40, a lot of people did not want to wait an hour for the group transfer. So we pretty much just don't, on these type of groups, just don't do that anymore. So anyway.
Yeah, so I can tell you, I go to Vancouver all the time and I grab a cab because it's the easiest thing to do. And it's about $35 Canadian. So with the exchange rate, it's, actually quite a bit less. So I always make sure I have a credit card with me that doesn't have international, exchange charges attached to it. Indeed. And I usually get a little bit of cash just because I don't like to pull out a credit card every time I want a cup of coffee or maybe one beer. So along the way, but they will take your American credit cards. They will take American cash, but they will not give you the exchange rate. So you may lose a little bit of money on those transactions.
They also typically don't give you American change.
Yeah.
Anyway. All righty. Well, I wanted to thank everybody for coming today. Give us a call or drop us an email if you have any questions or if you want to hold your spot. We have a lot of space right now, but we had 110 people or something like that sign up for this webinar. I know not all of them are on right now, but we do send the webinar out tonight. So give us a call if you have any questions, if you need any assistance. Feel free to invite friends and family along. It is a phenomenal trip, as I'm sure you just saw. And be on the lookout for the webinar. You should have a link to that webpage. We'll include that again when we send the webinar, or excuse me, when we send the video for the webinar. today or tomorrow, we'll include that link to that webpage as well. So I want to thank everybody for coming and joining us. I love doing these. I'd never done one pre-COVID. Now I do one or two a month, and it's always fun to have an opportunity to talk to people across the country. And I'm going to turn it over to Joanne and let you give the final word.
Okay, final word is I hope you guys are excited to go experience this part of the world. It's amazing. I never get tired of it. And if you would like, we can set up another webinar closer to departure in case you have a lot of more questions. I'm happy to join up with Jon and his team and do another one.
Sounds good. Thank you, everybody, for coming today.
Thank you. Y'all have a great evening.